What's up, guys? It's your boy JK Primetime. I'm back here with another video. Breaking news coming out of the NBA. LeBron James is expected to sign a 4-year, if I'm not mistaken, $154 million offer. Yes, 4-year, $154 million offer with the Los Angeles Lakers. This is huge because LeBron has finally picked the team that he's going to go to. There's a lot of speculation. Past couple days, he was supposedly out in LA listening to pitches from certain team representatives, but also it's not surprising. He had moving crews out there, so people were thinking that he might be going to LA, even though it wasn't surprising because he's had for multiple years, had a property out in LA that he normally goes to in the offseason, if I'm not mistaken. But either way, this is huge news for the NBA. Now, what's interesting about LeBron making this decision is that right now there's no guarantee that they're going to get anyone, they could get anyone else. Kawhi Leonard still has 1 year with the Spurs. Again, the Lakers, there's been reports of them talking with the Spurs to try to get a deal done, and it seems like in some ways the Spurs have softened their stance because the Lakers have been so willing to give up their young assets. Now, besides that, the other guys that they were possibly going to get in free agency, Paul George is staying with OKC. It looks like DeMarcus Cousins is going to stay with the Pelicans. So really, when it comes to, they won't be able to form some kind of big three like that was originally planned. There's not going to be, him, George, and Leonard. At best, it's going to be LeBron and Kawhi Leonard running the show. Now, first, we're going to look into what this roster and starting lineup for the Lakers looks like with LeBron on it. And then we're also going to look at, I'm going to talk about if I think it was necessarily the right decision. Now, when it comes to their starting lineup, as for now, not including restricted free agency and, free agents, assuming that, for example, they keep Julius Randle, they keep Julius Randle, Brook Lopez is going to be gone from that team. Channing Frye is probably going to be gone from that team. They might keep Gary Payton in a second. They might keep Andre Ingram because those guys shouldn't command too much money, you would think. Travis Ware might be the same thing, and they might let him go. Caldwell Pope is interesting. I don't know if they'll have him stay. They do have Josh Hart, who could be a decent starter, at least fill in the role they need to. But first, looking at this lineup right now for 2018-19, as it is standing. At point guard, you have Lonzo Ball. On the one website I'm looking at has LeBron at shooting guard. I don't think so. I think that him and Brandon Ingram would be switched. So I think you would have Brandon Ingram at shooting guard at the 2, and then LeBron at the 3. Kyle Kuzma, of course. Kyle Kuzma at the 4, and then Julius Randle at center. Now again, you could also switch, LeBron and Kuzma, so you then could have Ingram at shooting guard, Kuzma at small forward, and then LeBron at power forward. Now, their bench as of now is nothing too crazy. Their backup point guard would be Alex Caruso, who's average NBA player. He's not anything too crazy. Josh Hart, who had a good rookie season last year, I definitely think that he could be a good shooting guard off the bench. He fits what they need. At small forward, they have Luol Deng, who's not that good anymore. He's really just there because of how bad, that terrible contract he signed a couple years ago. And then Svatoslav Mikhailovic, I don't know how to say his name. He is a rookie that they just drafted, I think, with their second-round pick. At power forward, they have Isaac Bonga, who's a decent player. If I'm not mistaken, he's a little bit more raw, but of course, he's a rookie, so it's not anything too crazy. He was 6'8" though, and listed as a point guard this year, so I definitely know he's not going to be playing that position. But he obviously seems as someone who could be a point forward, especially with him playing point guard in Germany. Now at center, obviously they have Julius Randle. They have Mo Wagner, who they just drafted with their first-round pick. Mo Wagner is a good player because he's a guy who's a face-up game. He's kind of, to be honest, I could see him being like a Channing Frye, which is the reason why I don't think the Lakers would keep Channing Frye, because I think Mo Wagner can fill that position. Mo Wagner has a face-up game. Defense, not very athletic. So, he doesn't have, the greatest in the world. but he has that floor spacing that's always nice. And then you also have Ivica Zubac, who was a nice role player for them last year. Now, looking at this, I mean, this lineup, I mean, is good. I could see it as a playoff team in the West. I don't think this team could beat the Warriors. Even with Kawhi, you might say that they might not be able to beat the Warriors, which is really what you think LeBron would be trying to do, because I know everything's, at least supposedly, he was also focusing on family, but if he was really down between between Cleveland and the Lakers, I mean, the Lakers don't have a roster either that's going to be beating the Warriors for a championship. I think what he's thinking is obviously they're going to add some other superstar to be able to pull that off, to then, add to, make them a viable, candidate to be able to win some games. But overall, I think he now has, they're definitely a playoff roster. But the only thing is, for example, Lonzo Ball is not the best fit. Lonzo Ball, he's a good playmaker. He can play some defense. But, again, his shooting is bad, which doesn't really go the best with what LeBron likes. He likes having a lot of shooters around him, because there's probably a good chance that LeBron's going to be very ball dominant. I know that supposedly he said he's likes to play partially off ball. So with Lonzo's playmaking, you could have LeBron be off ball somewhat, but I still think that there's pretty much going to be a good chance that he's going to mostly be having the ball in his hands. So having Lonzo there at point guard is not going to be the best thing for them, because you can't really play Lonzo off ball. He doesn't really have that shooting stroke yet. He's actually a terrible shooter right at the moment. So assuming that they don't get Cousins, that Cousins stays with the Pelicans, and with Paul George staying with OKC, the only really big bet for a big free agent is Kawhi Leonard, who doesn't even have his contract, is not even an expired contract. It would have to be through a trade, which means someone like Lonzo could be thrown in there, Brandon Ingram, or Kuzma, or all three or two of those three guys. So when you think about it, it might be, they'll have LeBron and Kawhi, which will be good, but then the rest of it is, there's some ifs there. And like I said, I don't think this team is good enough to beat the Warriors. When it comes to my opinion on if this was the right choice, to me, I don't think so. I think what LeBron is, as much as he says, part of it is definitely about family, another facet of it is of his legacy. If he's not going to a team to try to make sure he wins a championship, why go out to LA? LA, I know, it's a big market, great city. He could have some, he's the connection with Hollywood, and, different things out there. He could pursue other ventures out there. But to be honest, even if he was in Cleveland, he could still do those similar things. It would just be a little bit more of an inconvenience. I think part of it could also be the family, because, wife and kids probably rather live in nice sunny LA than, cold and, not as nice Cleveland. But to be honest, on a career outlook, at the end of the day, obviously winning didn't go into this as his foremost thing, because if it was, he probably would have went to the Rockets, or maybe even possibly the 76ers, even though he wouldn't have been the best fit next to Ben Simmons. But it seems like that wasn't his foremost attitude. But at the end of the day, like I've always said, I didn't think that he would necessarily put winning first, because at the end of the day, he could win, and he could finish a career with 12 rings, more than Bill Russell, more than pretty much any other player in history. He would still not be seen as better than Jordan. Now, assuming that you already have Jordan ahead of LeBron, because you could always say Jordan went undefeated in his finals. LeBron had to play an X amount of finals and won, even though he won 12 of them, or however high that number is when he retires. So for me, to be honest, when it looks at that team, at least in my opinion, I think he should have stayed in Cleveland, because either way, to be honest, you're not going to beat the Warriors. To be honest, it makes it sound better, because then at least he can make the finals almost every year out in the East, compared in the West, where it's a lot more competitive. And to be honest, he might face the Warriors in the second round and get knocked out early in the playoffs, which is something that he hasn't had happen in 5-6 years. So to be honest, with them, I think he really should stay in Cleveland. Yes, he delivered on his promise to win them a championship, and he did. But if he stayed in Cleveland, he would have had the statue, the whole nine, been immortalized in Cleveland as the greatest Cavs player of all time. The Lakers already have a history. To be honest, I also think no matter how good LeBron does, this team, he's not going to be seen as the top guy when you think of the Lakers. You're going to think of Magic, Kobe, even Shaq, Kareem. LeBron could have, in my opinion, made a much greater legacy in Cleveland than he would with the Lakers. But either way, tell me how you guys think and how if this is going to be a fit for the team or not. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say about this breaking news. Like the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to get more content. And besides that, I'm out.